he wasn't messing this up too badly. "But I saw how hard you fought to protect Mariel, and since then your love has grown and deepened. You proved that love with actions, not just words, which is the measure of a good man. It's an honor to know both of you, and to be invited to give this speech." He wasn't sure why they'd asked him to give a speech, but the reception had been speech-heavy so far, with family and friends of the bride and groom spouting impassioned, brilliant toasts that were all far better than Ben's. "My skills are in gardening, not public speaking," he said, wrapping things up. "So I'm going to sit down before I embarrass myself." Another few chuckles at that. "In lieu of the brilliant oratory you deserve, I present you with a plant." He nodded toward the side of the room where another of his employees, a naiad named Ronnie, stood, holding an orchid. She strode forward, grinning confidently, in the way of well-adjusted people who didn't want to shrivel up and disappear in front of a crowd, and presented the plant to Mariel. Mariel gasped and clapped her hands to her mouth. "Ben, are you serious? You found a winter sunrise?" The winter sunrise orchid was rare, found only near the top of a magic-laced mountain in France, where the ley lines allowed flowers to bloom through the snow. Its petals were snowy white, blending into soft pink, the edges lined with orange, and the golden stamen glittered with magic. "A rare flower for a rare friend," Ben said. He'd had to trade away a substantial selection of aphrodisiacal plants from his shop's inventory to get it, but he didn't regret the transaction. "It's perfect," Mariel said, beaming at him. The orchid leaned forward in its pot, brushing its petals against her cheek. Mariel wrinkled her freckled nose. "Hi, baby," she whispered to the flower. "You're going to love my greenhouse." Plants always behaved that way around Mariel. She was brimming with so much nature magic, the world came alive around her, and plants acted downright enamored. Ben was a bit jealous, since werewolves didn't have any magic other than the truly unfortunate monthly transformation into a feral creature, but he couldn't deny it made her a heck of an employee at the garden shop. Oz looked at Ben with obvious gratitude. "Thank you," the demon mouthed. Ben nodded in acknowledgement. Then, glad to have the speech over with, he plopped back into his seat. His sister Gigi nudged him with her fork, a fork that unfortunately had residual sauce on it, leaving a greasy smudge on his navy coat sleeve. "Good speech, bro." He blew out a heavy breath. "I'm just glad it's over." "You're a great public speaker. I don't know why you hate it so much." Gigi shrugged and tucked back into her pasta. His sister was 33 years old to Ben's 38, though he claimed she acted 10 years younger and she claimed he acted 80 years older. They were both taller and more broad-shouldered than average, and had the same thick brown hair and brown eyes, but personality-wise, they couldn't have been more different. Gigi was an extrovert who loved parties and public speaking, while Ben preferred time alone with his plants, books, and knitting. Tonight, Gigi was wearing a gold dress with her favorite pink Converse, and glittering piercings marched up her ears. "Thank like can you're not wearing a sweater vest," she'd said when she'd spotted his navy suit earlier that day. "Someday you'll let me take you shopping." That was an absolutely not. And what was so wrong with sweater vests? They were sophisticated yet cozy, wrapping around his torso like a hug. Or maybe like one of those thunder shirts worn by quivering dogs, his judgmental inner voice said. Ben drained his champagne. Thankfully, the speeches wrapped up soon after. They'd gone well, all things considered. He'd had a brief moment of worry when Mariel's mother had spoken, but Diantha had spent the last 2 years repairing her relationship with Mariel and attending therapy. She wasn't perfect, but she was vastly improved from the pre-Oz days. With speeches and eating done, it was time for dancing, and an open bar, thank the neurosis gods.